Hip hop is heavily intertwined in the youth culture. It's really the voice of the world right now. You can't promote a cheeseburger or even a Mercedes Benz without there being a backtrack of hip hop music. My first love was rock and roll. Um, that's the first music that, according to my mom, I ever expressed that I liked. My favorite band was Toto. My favorite song was Rosanna. And then came along hip hop by way of the airways, television, MTV, then the radio and stuff like that. So I was born in 1980. And as soon as I saw it, heard it, it resonated with me. As soon as I had the visuals of what it looked like, what the music looked like, because you know what rock looked like, right? You know what the stage is set like, the whole nine. But then there were these different instruments being used for hip hop, i.e. turntables. And my dad had a turntable and a bunch of records. So it immediately made me gravitate towards his equipment. And I always tell the story, I was recording before I understood I was recording. I would take, he had this big, I think it was a Pioneer system. And I had a little dual boombox, dual cassette. It had a mic on board. It was a project I was doing for school. We had to create an advertisement for this fictional set of islands. And I thought I would do like a rap for it. I beatboxed into the boombox, took that tape, put that tape in the big stereo. And then I played that out loud while I rapped back into the box. And I recorded music. This is me at like 10, 11 years old, you know. And then doing other things, my homeboy Corey, we had the album tape deck combo situation, and we would make these pause tapes where we would take a snippet off of something, stop it, bring in another album, play that, stop it, and we would create this our own mix, if you will, of something. And this is how we spent our time, you know, with no aspiration to take it to the stage. We just wanted to participate in the most minuscule way possible. So I was like always drawn to it, always identified with it. It was just the world around me. You know, I saw it through that lens. Hip hop is heavily intertwined in the youth culture. It's really the voice of the world right now. You can't promote a cheeseburger or even a Mercedes Benz without there being a backtrack of hip hop music. It's just the current sound. It's now pop culture, but it's heavily intertwined here, but it's sort of mixed too, because we have the same amount of reverence for hip hop as we do, you know, for jazz, specifically brass band music. It's very intergenerational. There is no, oh, that's for them, you know, this for the young folks. Older people got rap songs that they like. Then there's, the young ones have theirs, and then there's the ones we could all dance to together. You know, like just this weekend, I hung out with my mom and my daughter at the restaurant that I run. So, and we had a great night that night. The hip hop in New Orleans is everything. Because hip hop is essentially the grandson of jazz, and we the birthplace of jazz. The first bounce song ever recorded was in right up the street from my house, like 3 blocks away, in Tips, big time Tips. And before that, it used to be Ghost Town. But MCT Tucker and DJ Irv, they performed where they at and recorded it right up the street from my house. The way I stepped into that position as a cultural liaison, as you put it, I've learned that I have a way of communicating foreign ideas and or complex ideas and stewing them down to make them palatable for whoever is listening. People kind of latched onto that after I did it enough, and then I just kind of became a point man. You know, New Orleans is a pungent culture, very indigenous. And if you're from middle America or even from outside of America, it'll be difficult to grasp it. I think my awareness of the world has allowed me to make a good point of reference and make the analogies that need to be made to make our world make sense to them. I've come to take a lot of pride in it because I've realized that I'm representing the culture in different spaces. Because hip hop is 50 years old now, they didn't get to see a lot of things get built out through the world of hip hop and kind of just now they're fixed things. So I see them taking things and running with it, but I also see that they don't know the full function of it or where they can take some things. And because in my personal opinion, and I did a conference last week, somebody was asking me something about songwriters and them learning the business and stuff. And I was trying to show them that the business is changing so fast that you should be telling me more about how the business functions as opposed to, you know, how things do work. Because the playing field is leveled because we're at a new frontier, you know. So all the things that I knew don't necessarily apply no more. It took me a few years of getting adjusted to what technology has done to music, how it's consumed, how one earns from it. Watching the asset change and the point of sale on it change, how to manufacture it, the whole nine. And above all things is how people consume it, where the musical experience actually happens now. It's been interesting because I'm 42 now, but if you ask me how old I felt, I probably couldn't even put an age on it because, you know, the wisdom's there, but like that playfulness, that innocence, that creative side, the childlike part of me is still there. So when I get it in with them, with the youth, it's always exciting for me because I hear the new ideas, and above all things, y'all got a lot of enthusiasm, you know, kind of like that pure, just that pure desire to want to go after something, want to change things. Y'all not jaded, y'all ain't been living long enough to be jaded. So y'all energy always fresh. So it always makes for good conversations, especially when I get to sort of like clear the road for them of where they're trying to go, peel back the layers. Everybody y'all age, y'all think y'all running out of time for some reason, which is literally counterintuitive because you're young, you just got here, but how you running out of time, right? So, and I love just peeling that layer off for them so they can realize, oh man, the sky's the limit, you know, but all y'all walk through the door like some clock is ticking behind y'all head. Because of the medium, you know, before it was tape, CDs, vinyl, and you would physically go out to a store, make the purchase, you would anticipate the purchase, you would live with the record longer because of what the process was to make it, how it was distributed, how it was advertised, and the whole nine. And now, because it's not tangible anymore, there's a disconnect. And you live with it, but not in the same way. And I could get sort of, you know, I could get sort of scientific and even metaphysical if you want to with it going from analog to digital. Because, you know, analog was literally the recording and everything that was in the room lays on the vinyl. The energy in the room is literally on the tape, physically. Digitally, now it's a ghost of, there's a pixelated version of what was recorded, even though it sounds crystal clear. But even the most perfect thing it's kind of not real. Like it sounds clearer than life actually sounds. And it's sort of like plastic surgery. Yeah, your face look perfect, but ain't nobody's face perfect in the real world. So now you look like stupid, right? And so the music we're listening to, you could start that it's not even the actual music, it's a digital version of it, right? Because it's not physical, because you didn't do any work to go out and get it, you damn near ain't spend no money on it because the price point on it as a commodity is going down. So I'm not buying this, even though you can go on iTunes and buy it, but everybody's streaming, so nobody's technically paying for it. And so the relationship with it isn't quite the same. We still connect with music, and music is everything to us, but you're not living with it like we used to live with it, because we run through it super fast, you know, sort of like grandma's gumbo or you know, your grandmother's pasta or something that took forever to make it. And then there's like Stouffer's lasagna. You know what I mean? And it just don't go down the same. Stouffer's don't go down like your grandmother's lasagna. And that's the big deal. The positive is that our world is shaped by it, which is super cool. It's made a lot of things more casual. You know, things are less formal, so that to me, we get to be, for lack of a better term, more real and authentically ourselves when we show up in spaces. Like just the fact that I'm at this college and all y'all call me by my rap name. My birth name is Courtney Nero. But, you know, I speak to the business school and everybody else, you know, as Nesby Phips. This persona, this moniker is in a collegiate academic space, if you will, as well as business spaces and the whole nine. The ways there is to monetize, how dynamic the party space is, clubbing, it shapes our world and it's colorful. You know, I love the music from back in the day. It's great, but the new sonics that we have, you know, it's just dynamic. You know, it's very dynamic, and the possibilities with it is endless, and it keeps spawning more genres and the whole nine. Because I'm a guy that, you know, this is why I function in the space that I do. I don't like limitations, and the possibilities are infinite in music. The artist has more power, because right, we got the art form and then we got the business, right? And the technology, and a lot of that is shaping the art form. With that being said, we have an oversaturated market, because anybody could get into the game now, and you know, like my dog could drop a record tomorrow if he wanted to. The technology that'll do it. I think there'll be a crashing and burning of what we know, and then there'll be like a phoenix moment that's gonna take place, especially with the amount of information that we have, and we understand the implication of specific rhetoric with anything, but specifically in hip hop, and how much of a dead end it could be, and the type of energy you're putting out there and how it comes back to you. There'll be like a purification period of it, and it'll start becoming more personal and more authentic, I think. A lot of people doing some Xerox stuff in the name of trying to compete or participate in the mainstream. But technology has brought it to where every artist technically is their own small business. And I think those authentic people, those people who are with the right intention and that are warm, they're gonna rise to the top of it like it once was before. You know, it's gonna continue to give voice to people who normally didn't have a voice. You know, it was when the radio and the labels controlled music, the narrative was what they allowed, because that's where we were fed from. But now that we can say what we want and get it out to the world, there'll be more people finding themselves, more everyday people finding themselves in this everyday person who made this tape out of Des Moines, Iowa, or something like that, you know? And it's just more connecting, like we'll be connecting more. The experiences, once you do go to a show, they'll become more dynamic as technology is getting better. Yeah, because there is that element of, there are things about it, technology now that has us living in our bubbles. And a part of that purification moment, we're gonna break out the bubbles, because you know people instinctively want and need each other. So it's gonna do this, and then it's gonna come back together again. So, but then there's the X factor of that unknown. There's gonna be something that's gonna do something, and we don't know what it's gonna look like, how it's gonna affect us, or anything like that. But I mean, there's always that. Because the downside of technology is some stuff is we technically don't need. And there are some negative implications of it, you know. And they would have to run their course. That's just how life works. You know, but it's like everything. If you leave the earth alone long enough, it'll reinvent itself back to where it should have been in the first place. Yeah, I just hope I'm around to see some of it. Some things where the world going now, I don't care for, you know. Like there's some things they're doing with technology that is like, but why? You know, like replicating people's voices and stuff like that. There's two sides to it, because as I'm working on Mahalia's a project for Mahalia, I want to show the good side of AI, where we could hear some of her words in her voice, right? And that's beautiful. And that could be used for anybody, like great grandmother that you miss. She isn't with us no longer, but I have these cards that she wrote for me, and I would love to make a recording of my grandmother reading these cards or reading this book for me, stuff like that. But then, the flip side of stuff like that is, somebody could call a child pretending to be the mom and get access to that child. You know what I mean? So there's the dark side of the world. So I just hope, humanity reigns supreme on that stuff. Like, so far, I don't think we're doing good though, given what's going on in the world. It's 100% rooted in the New Orleans sound. But I exist in many ways, mostly vocally. I can't hide the fact that I'm from New Orleans for the life of me, and I could do pretty good impressions. But even with those impressions, my tongue moves a certain way. That's just how we talk now. And as my band friends tell me, I rap like a horn player plays his trumpet. That's what they're telling me. I can't hear what they hear. So I can't help it. Like I said in the beginning, our culture is pungent, sort of like a Jamaican's accent. Like he kind of gonna always have that accent. And there's a timing and a rhythm in almost everything that we do. Cooking, my painting, everything. It just shows up. It's kind of just coded in my DNA. New Orleans is my algorithm. And I wouldn't want it no other way, because this is one of one. No disrespect to any other city, but if you told me to pick something distinct about somebody from Cleveland, I wouldn't know what to tell you. I don't even know what a Cleveland accent sound like. You know what I mean? But New Orleans when you hear it. So, it's just gonna always be there, thankfully. There's too many to do that. And that's the beauty in it. That's the beauty in it. Like I can have an infinite amount of favorites, and they're all special to me for so many reasons. It's never just a one. Now, what I can tell you is my favorite group of all time in the history of music in all genres is Outkast. I think they are the apex of music. I think there isn't a sound that they hadn't touched if you look at their body of work. And nobody has done it more tastefully, gracefully, unexpected, provocatively, and it only helps that it's from the South. Because we are a different thing down here. Life was just different down here. So I can't tell you a favorite song, but I could tell you that they are the apex of music to me. Like every album, like I said, living with it, I lived with every album that they have, and to put that music on is to like put on like a warm blanket for me, and not just get nestled all in it. Be open, be free, you define your world. You can only borrow from other people's experiences, but you cannot replicate them. Yours is your own. Yeah, man, just hop on that magic carpet, bro. Don't feel like nothing's a dead end. I always say Bill Withers started recording songs when he was 32 years old, and he had the career that I would love to have. You know what I'm saying? These are the things that get me excited. So, man, lean into the possibilities. And the fact that you are here now is 100% evidence that you survived everything you ever went through in your life. So with that evidence, you should lean on that more than your fears, because that's been proven right way more than your fears ever have.